You and I both have the pleasure of running large institutions. And one of the things that I think we occasionally get asked, sometimes with different tones of voice, is, what do you do? Sometimes people say, what exactly do you do? But taking it in a more positive way. I think there's just kind of an interest in knowing what is a day in the life or a week in the life of a managing partner. What do you consider your job description to be?
Yeah, well, it's one of the biggest transitions I had to make, and I gave up my practice, which seemed like the necessary thing because for just the global span of it, and clients always have to come first, so you got an inherent conflict there. I will say within a month I got called by a client with a amazingly juicy assignment, and taking a pass on that was really hard. But I try to think of it in terms of how do I have impact, and it has taken me some time to think through, it's not that it's hard to fill your day. You can have, every minute of the day scheduled with somebody who's happy to sit down and talk to you about things. But I have come to feel that, the key parts of the job are obviously thinking about the strategy of the firm, and constantly explaining that to our partners and to our people. Doing things like this, the external voice, face of the firm is important, particularly in today's world. Working on communication within the firm, we have over 6,000 employees, 45 offices, lots of different viewpoints, and increasingly a very sophisticated infrastructure of non-lawyer professionals that support what we do. So making sure that I understand that part of the business is really critical. But at least half my time I spend with partners. I really believe that understanding what partners do, understanding what they're trying to do, what the firm can do to help them, what the firm is doing that feels obstructive to them, having a relationship that allows you to have the conversations that need to happen when they should happen. And I think I have to model that. I hope that all the people that work with me are doing the same thing all the way down, because a lot of those conversations are difficult, and I find the difficult conversations are a little bit easier to manage when there is a personal relationship that's part of it. So, I think it keeps changing. We'll talk about maybe a little bit later technology and what implications that has for us. It's a period when there's a lot of angst generally in the profession, that none of us feels as secure as we felt in 2006, when it looked like you had endless growth for the rest of our careers. And so managing the kind of mood and spirit of the firm is also something you've got to pay attention to. It's never dull. Sometimes more stimulating than I would like it to be, but that's the way it has devolved for me. How about you, Kim?
Yes, so I would say a huge amount of overlap in this. I think there are two main kind of drivers of what I focus on. One is our partners and the other is our clients. And with respect to our partners, it is about making sure, I like to view myself, I hope they view me as a facilitator of what it is that will make them more effective, make them better lawyers, make them better in their relationships with their clients. And that's an important part of this job, what you can bring to bear that helps the good ideas surface, guides partners, tells them about what it is that they should know about the firm, and gives them a sense of vision and where we're going and how they fit into that. The second piece of this is about making sure that our clients know how much we value the relationship, that we know that they have lots of very good choices, and that we want them to understand how much they mean to us and what it is that we think we have to offer them that hopefully will make them continue to return to us. And that requires a lot of work to make sure that I am getting chances to meet with our clients, find out what we're doing well, find out what we can do better, find out what it is that I can communicate to our partners that gives us help going forward, to guide us. And that has been a big part of, I guess I'm in my 5th year in this role. That's been a really helpful part in setting the vision, because this does all kind of start with our clients and making sure that I can report back. This isn't just what Kim Coopersmith is saying. This is what is happening in our industry with the people that are most important, which are our clients who are making decisions about us. And I said 2, but I actually would say 3 things. One of the other things that goes to culture, which I think we're going to talk about a bit as well. I think that it really matters how everyone that works at the law firm feels. And one of the things that I started when I assumed this position was much more regular contact with all of the people in business services, speaking much more regularly with our associates and counsel about what is it that really matters to them, what's the firm doing well, what could we do differently. And those all take a lot of kind of really hands-on attention. It's not just a town hall. It's really like sitting in someone's office and hearing what they have to say. I remember when I first was about to take this role, and my predecessor, Bruce McLean, sent me to a program for leaders, and one of the law firm leaders spoke and said, for the first 6 months I had this role, my secretary set the agenda of the law firm, because every person that called and said that they wanted to speak to me, she dutifully scheduled, and if anybody asked me to travel somewhere, I went there. And at a certain point, I realized that I needed to set the agenda, and I couldn't simply answer everybody's inquiries. And that stuck with me, and I've tried hard to find that balance between being fully responsive, and I think that is a big part of what we do. You need to be available. You need to have your partners sense that you have the same sense of urgency they do about doing this well and making sure the firm is doing everything. But you also need to have some control over where you're putting your efforts, because these are big organizations that are very complicated.
I really agree with that, and I think finding time, building time into your schedule to actually think.
Yeah.
There's not enough thinking in the world.
Absolutely.
Today. I try to provide some time, and the client focus. I should have mentioned that, because it's the way I get to see clients now, is go and talk to them about the firm, and I definitely feel that having a client-centric philosophy and having that communicated throughout the entire firm is important. So one of the things that's a part of this job is you wake up every morning and you look at the emails in your inbox that have come over
sometimes in the middle of the night.
Sometimes in the middle of the night, and sometimes there's a really ugly thing in there. So talk a little bit about your philosophy as it relates to crisis management, if that's a term one might use, because inevitably things go wrong.
Things happen. So that was an area that I think I would have to say on-the-job training is the only way that you can fully appreciate those moments in time. And I was fortunate that there weren't that many on-the-job training opportunities. But I think it's important. These are large global organizations, and there is news that breaks, there are issues that happen, and you need to be prepared. So we have really tried to structure a core team of people that will be involved in every one of these instances, make sure that we have a team of professionals who can assist when it requires something beyond our marketing team, our general counsel function, myself. And I think we have created a good infrastructure around responding to issues. And what you need to do is you need some good minds to get together. I do think it requires a small focus group. These are not moments that you can get consensus of 1,000 lawyers or necessarily everyone whose views you would like on a topic, but you go at it. We're focused on transparency, always about integrity and the reputation of the firm, and how do we best make sure that the message we're communicating in difficult circumstances, in challenging circumstances, conveys the firm's view on this, which is always about doing the right thing. That's what it comes down to. And you need to, sometimes doing the right thing is not having a comment. Sometimes doing the right thing is providing information so that there's a better context. Internal communications are important because your business services, your lawyers are all looking to know, well, what is the answer to this, or what is the firm's reaction to this? And so finding that way to make sure that all of the constituencies internally, your clients, the world at large, you're addressing, and those messages aren't necessarily always identical. And doing it in a very fast, real time, okay, here's what's happening and here's the results of this, and now we need to course correct or add to our strategy. It keeps the adrenaline up, that's what I would say. And you?
Yeah, we actually do some tabletop exercises from time to time just to kind of get our brains thinking about, what if this crazy thing happened? Obviously, these crises come in all shapes and sizes, and there are some that are tragedies. We had one of our associates in Paris was murdered in the Paris terrorist attacks in November of 2000, I guess it was 2014. There, the need that the firm had was for people to rally around and show that we were all part of one community. But there are other things that happen where, people do stupid things. Unfortunately, sometimes you're partners and you can't believe some of the things people do.
We know that.
And I think that the word you use of transparency, I think, is one of those things that you just have to keep coming back to, and it's what people expect of you. It's what your partners expect, to have a sense of comfort that they actually know. They don't need to know all the details, but they need to know that the people are taking this seriously and doing the right thing. And so, there's never a formula for dealing with a crisis, but I do think emphasis on, where are we coming from? What do we stand for? Things happen, but we're going to deal with it in a way that you're going to be comfortable, and then communicating back kind of where things
And I think we both try and be on offense, so that I never want my partners to be reading about something and saying to me, what do you think of this? So we do try pretty hard to anticipate, okay, how is this going to be received, and what can we do to make sure that people are educated about this ahead of time? And again, I go back to my predecessor, who years ago, with some moment in time that was kind of an introduction, I don't remember the issue, but I remember saying, Bruce, what should we do? And he said, Kim, the truth will set you free. And I think that's on Town Hall right across from our offices. And every time I look at it, I think of him, and I think that has been really good advice on many, many occasions. And look, the world is complicated. I think everyone in our law firms understands that there are going to be moments that require judgment calls, and that things didn't go the way you want them to, or you find yourself in a crisis. And people accept that. What they're looking at is how you handle it, and making sure that they feel confident in the people who are saying, here is the plan, and here's how we get from A to B. That's really what we can control. We can't control stupidity, but we can control the message that follows it. So why don't we move to a slightly more upbeat discussion from crisis management, and talk a bit about the world we find ourselves in terms of client service and business. And I think everyone who would be interested in watching this would understand what the words flat demand means, and it's probably ingrained in all of our brains at this point after a number of years of reassessing what the legal landscape looks like. And in a world of flat demand, where you are really, we're all struggling to make sure that our clients turn to us, we're dealing with all kinds of other aspects of how legal services are provided, whether by accounting firms, artificial intelligence, a variety of in-house growth in legal departments. There's plenty of ways in which the pie of legal work is being carefully scrutinized. So what is your magic formula for making sure that your work continues to grow?
Well,
and I'll take notes.
Yeah, no, I think that first principle is face reality. And that's one of my jobs, I think, as the leader of Hogan Lovells, is to make certain that all of our people understand this is our reality. You know, we're not going to sit and wait for the market to be the way it was in 2006. I don't think that will ever exist again. The things that are happening in the market that are changing that reality are not just the oversupply of lawyers, it's the way our clients have begun to rethink where the value is and what they get from their outside legal advisors. They've brought huge resources in-house in a way that makes those relationships totally different than they were, even 10 years ago, when you might have been dealing with a relatively small in-house legal group. They're sophisticated, they understand the law business, and they understand, what's good about it and what's not so good about it. So, I think, first of all, it's just trying to make sure people understand that is our new reality, and there's nothing that I see in the marketplace that's likely to change that. I think it's also trying to make sure people understand that just doing the things we've always done is not a formula for success. We all, I think of lawyers as great artisans in a way. They're people that learn to craft. They love the craft. They love writing that complicated trust document or arguing that motion, or they love the craft. And you can get blinded by that because the people that are buying what they don't love the craft. They see you as somebody that can help them solve a problem. And so getting our people to have a shift of mindset, much more focused on what does the client want? What does the client need here? How are we going to align ourselves with the client? And we're trying to do that in a couple of different ways. We've developed much more of a sector-focused approach to certain industries and try to bring together people collaboratively across different practice areas, different approaches for how we manage our client relationships, trying to make sure people understand that the client experience matters hugely. And as I always say to them, believe it or not, there are actually thousands of great lawyers in the world. So the bell curve of technical legal competence is narrower than any of us would like to believe. And the idea that we're going to be wildly successful just by saying I'm smarter than the other lawyer or better than the other lawyer, the bell curve of client experience and client service is very wide. So just trying to make sure that we're really focused on what's the client experience here. Are we completely oriented around getting them the right best solution? If it can be a 5-page document instead of a beautiful 25-page document, that's actually success, even though the 25-page document is a lot more fun as a craftsperson. So it's just trying to work with people to understand the different dimensions of the market. I think collaboration within the firm is more important today than ever before, in part because what the clients are asking us to do is a little bit different. It's different. It's the more exotic. It's not the routine thing. It's something where they're only coming to us because they don't have the internal resources or the bandwidth to deal with that problem. So they need to have a law firm that's going to bring all of its best resources to bear on their issues. So I'm not sure that is a formula, but we do seem to be seeing steady increase in demand for what we do, and I'm going to go with that.
That's so we have our partner retreat coming up next week, and as you know, that is always a time for kind of focus on what is the message that you think is most important. And I think there is not a managing partner that is not highlighting in a flat demand environment how is our firm a firm that continues to grow. So definitely the theme, and I agree with all that you said. I think the two things that I would add from my 48th version of my PowerPoint for next week is Collaboration was the theme last year. I always go back and make sure that my message has some continuity from year to year. And one of the things that I realized for this year is, in addition to the theme of collaboration amongst the lawyers and business services people in our firm, is the theme of collaboration with our clients. So what is it that we can do that helps them to view us as a partner in knowing their business, in finding out what would make them most successful in their own legal department or in who they report to, and having our partners think a bit differently beyond just the good part of teams that are focused on meeting either an industry challenge or are focused on making sure that our clients are serviced in a coordinated way. Definite focus of our firm. I am trying to broaden people's definition of the word collaboration to make sure that they also understand that our clients are looking for that same kind of thought leadership in how they can be viewed successfully, what we can do that will enable us to show our value. And the second message is a pretty consistent one, which is you need to differentiate. So we need to make sure that there's a reason that our clients are thinking about us and saying, we have a trade issue, we have a policy issue, we have a white collar issue, we have an energy issue, funds, tax, financial restructuring, I mean, you name it, that people are thinking those people at Akin Gump are really good at this. And how we communicate that and have that expertise and make sure that we're training people so that they continue to distinguish themselves in having that expertise, understanding what the client's industry is doing and how they can create greater value. That's part of our attempt to make sure that we are successful. I mean, it's funny that one of the struggles is we too are coming off of a strong year, and so you find yourself with kind of a contradictory message of, I want to make sure you all stay the course, and I want you to totally embrace change.
Yeah.
And making sure that that doesn't sound like you've lost your mind is I think important, because it really is. There's a lot that is, I think, fundamentally strong at our law firm, and people have done very well in making sure that our vision continues to move forward on strategy, on point. But the world is changing, and relying on, I'm a really good lawyer, I am the bearer of unfortunate news, that is not enough, just as you said.
Gets you into the game. That's
Yep.
about it.